What's up, the world? I just came to speak once again, one more time, on the whole Morant situation. I think too many people, once again, are, because I saw it again yesterday, a bunch of people memeing the guy saying, oh, this, that, and third. And once again, I find it odd, and I don't think people understand what I'm saying. I've said it and I will say it again. Nobody is absolving Morant of anything that he did wrong. He did something wrong. He should be punished for what he did wrong. But you have to quantify and put what he did on a spectrum. Meaning, you have to compare it to the people that he's actually being compared to, right? Okay, if you say that it was dumb for him to go to a party, I've said all this yesterday. Incredibly stupid for him to do that, especially as some type of fu to Stephen Adams, especially in the midst of the allegations that came out the day before. All of these things are incredibly ill-advised things to do and dumb. Okay, now that that's out of the way, we have to actually quantify and actually speak on this and discuss it in a nuanced way. What did he actually do? He went to a club. He's a 23-year-old. He went to a 23-year-old. He went to a club and he had a gun on him. Not an illegal firearm. Not some same type of guns that you see people walk around with every day. He didn't shoot anybody, didn't kill anybody, caused no disturbance at the club. He was just a guy, a 23-year-old, a 23-year-old at a club who decided at some point that he wanted to kind of, thumb his nose up at someone trying to control him. Seems like a dumb young guy mistake. Doesn't sound like a guy's trying to be a gangster. The people saying the clothes he wears, and this goes back to the greater discussion. Black culture and criminal culture have somehow found a link, and the link is that people who dress like this commit crimes. Now, I believe that to be one of the most ridiculous claims because they come from the same place, right? The same people that become basketball players generally become rappers. It just depends on how they choose to live their life, right? How smart they are. A lot of these rappers, that's why I tell people all the time, the whole narrative that everybody in the ghetto is this gangster killer, G'd up. When you grow up in the hood, G'd up does not mean criminal, right? When they say you're a real dude, that doesn't mean that you're a criminal. When someone says you're real, meaning you most of the time it means you stay true to who you are. Meaning you don't let someone punk you, you don't let someone take advantage of you, meaning you stand 10 toes down. That's what they mean when people say you're real. Somehow the narrative got popular that real meant like, keeping it real goes wrong. Keeping it real never goes wrong. Okay? If you stay true to who you are, then 9 out of 10 times you're going to do what you would do. And meaning it's unavoidable that what happens to you will happen, especially if you believe in Jesus Christ and you believe in God, and you believe that the Holy Spirit drives you. If what happens is supposed to happen, and if you go around saying I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have done that, that's different. But that's not the discussion. The discussion is whether or not those things are that somehow all the black culture came entwined with criminal culture, and that is a direct ode to rappers who are some of the scummiest people. Rappers are the worst to me, right? 9 out of 10 of those guys, if you check their background, are not gangsters, thugs. They people. Some of them hung around gangsters and thugs, but they're not gangsters and thugs, because most people who are actual bang bang guys, they're not saying, let me go to English lit and make sure I understand its syntax and all. A lot of them are too smart to be. The best rappers are generally too smart to be killers. They're too smart to understand the value of life. Right? They understand the value of life. Right? They understand the value of life, and they're smart enough to understand consequences. So most of them are not dumb enough, at least the good rappers are not dumb enough to actually portray the things that they supposedly did in their lyrics. But there is a criminal element there. But the problem is that the guys who are not criminal have to pretend to be criminal, because around 2005, 50 Cent came in. And when 50 Cent came in, he made it a thing where people had to live their rap. Because, like with most things, once something becomes popular, other people inevitably try to mimic that, right? And because 50 Cent wasn't really touted for his talent, more so for his thugness, it became an era of them looking for the most thugged out, crazy, stupid people. And it's led to the Chicago drill scene and all these other places, the Atlanta drug scene, the Miami. It just turned into a bunch of thugged out cats who are true thugs coming out, not really being good at music. They just were known as thugs. Around, I would say 2011, Lil Wayne came in and he gave lyricism a spot. But it never overtook the gangster element, right? There were always people who just didn't like Lil Wayne because he wasn't gangster enough. And so he played into this I'm a gangster thing, even though he's been rich since he was like 9. It doesn't really make any sense for him to be a gangster. But that's the world, that's the environment that's created, to where it's like being in prison. If you showcase yourself to be weak, people will go at your neck, they will go at your head, and this created this narrative where the most popular part of black culture became the criminal culture, which became closely intertwined with black culture, right? Back in, I would say it ended in around the late 90s. I mean, the mid to late 90s, right? Black people, the thing that we brought to the table that no other race brought to the table is that we just didn't give a crap. Like, we didn't give a crap. We said what we wanted to say, and if you didn't like what we said, F you, right? And that's how we were. You're supposed to do it this way. I don't give a crap how you're supposed to do it. I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it. And it leads to so many innovative things within our community, because we are so anti everybody else. We were so different. Right? We did everything different. We talked different. We walked different. We did everything different than everybody else. When everybody else was trying to assimilate, we were trying to find our niche, trying to find something. If white people did it this way, we would do it this way. If Spanish people did it this way, we would do it this way. It's like we just never. The most important thing about being black, generally, when I was growing up, was being original. You couldn't be a jock rider. You couldn't be somebody that saw somebody else do something and then come behind it and copy. At least not without adding your own little twist to it, right? You have to add some type of you couldn't just straight up pirate somebody else's ideas and or style and or swagger. You add to lingo. It's like these kids nowadays, they don't have that, right? The black community has lost, because before, other communities came to us because they knew we always tell it how it is. If you can't depend on anybody to stand up and tell you 100% what they actually think without fear of reprisal, it was always the black community. Black community is not holding punches. They're gonna look you straight in the eye, and they're gonna tell you exactly what they think about what you did and or how they feel about what the climate that you're in, right? But at some point, we got bought off, right? We started to make money. I mean, our higher ups started to make money. And once they started to make money, it was no longer about telling it how it is, right? They started to buy out. Before it started a long time ago. They used to buy out the preacher, right? They would buy out the preacher and say, hey, preacher guy, go to church, say this, and the third, and get the black people to do this. And that's how it started, right? So they took a valuable part of the black community, which is our religion, the thing that connects us to God, because we're God's people, and connects us to God, and keeps us and keeps our blessings coming, and they tainted it. They tapped the water. So now all these preachers started going for self. They started just trying to find ways to enrich themselves and make money. And after a while, it got to a point where the preachers spoke more about money than they did about God. And all of a sudden, church just became a den of thieves. This is what happened to the black civil rights people. Okay, well, instead of now the preachers are no longer, because they've lost all trust in the preachers. You know, your Jesse Jacksons, you know, Al Sharpton guys. Let's go and now start to give money to the other people that they listen to. Because before they listened to the preachers, now they listen to the rappers. And Bob, we're gonna pay the rappers off now. Now the rappers are gonna come on and portray this ignorant Sambo weirdo thing, right? Then that guy, those guys came out, and you got your high profile guys who were paid to paint, to not just come out and say, hey, essentially what rap music says is black people are inherently violent, and if you do not like that we are inherently violent, stay away from us. We are not to be trusted. We are not to, you can't trust us to be faithful. You can't, to our wives. You can't trust us to be faithful to our children. And you can't trust us to be faithful to anything outside of the almighty dollar. That's it. That's all we're faithful to. This is the myth that money over everything. This is the thing that the rap music perpetrates, right? But then they started to realize a lot of black people don't like the older, the more sophisticated black community. Yeah, you know, black rap is kind of a taboo thing. So where do they go next? Okay, we're going to go to the comedians, and we're going to get the comedians to say the same thing that the rappers are saying, right? And around the same time, they started to say the same thing. We're ignorant, we're stupid, you can't trust us, we lie, we steal, we cheat, we da. So it became synonymous with being black. All these negative stereotypes became synonymous with blacks being black, and the people that were king in convincing not just black people but people outside the black community. It's like you go to a comedy show. It's the most racist shit you ever see, right? They say white people are nerdy and uncool. That's their critique about white people. That's the worst it gets when they're talking about white people. They're geeky, uncool, and racist. These are the three things that they say about white people. Spanish people, they say they're hardworking. I think they make arguments sometimes that they have large families or whatever, but for the most part, comedians generally don't bash the Spanish community like that, right? Asian community, I mean, people don't even have the time to even talk about them, and when they do talk about them, for the most part, it's not generally negative. But almost every single word they say about black people in these specials is generally negative. And people laugh. I mean, this Chris Rock one that just went by, a lot of people are applauding it because he made fun of women. And I as much as I cannot stand feminist people, and Jada Pinkett in particular I cannot stand, I thought what he did was way worse than what Will Smith did. Right? Will Smith slapped him, yeah, but you're a man. If you had a problem with him slapping you, you should have handled it. And he turns around and says, oh, well, my mama always told me not to fight in front of white people. That sounded so... And people who don't understand, Chris Rock is a covert coon, right? If you look at 90% of his specials, all he does is talk about black people. But when he talks about black people, he doesn't talk about people he believes. This is why I draw the line when I say comedians that are covert coons, and comedians that are actually people who speak on black issues. Right? Nobody's saying that you should do a special where you can never say anything negative about black people. We are not above being made fun of. We can be made fun of all the time. But if you're going to say a bunch of negative stuff about black people, try to throw in some positive shit too. Right? But the point that gets on my nerves about guys like the difference between, I think, a Dave Chappelle and a Chris Rock is Dave Chappelle, feels he's a part of the group he talks about, right? He believes he's as much black as the people he's talking about, right? Chris Rock, on the other hand, I don't get that impression from Chris Rock. Chris Rock seems like the exact person I told people about in the Jason Whitlock video. Chris Rock comes off as a guy who grew up around mostly white people and grew up ashamed of his own people. When you hear him speak, he's always speaking about impressing white people, not disappointing white people. The stuff he says is so cringe. It is cringe level stuff. It's like, you ever seen that one where he says the difference between a black person and an N-word? He hates lower class black people. And you can obviously see it in his specials. He has no respect for lower class black people, and he has a disdain for the way that they act. And I'm not saying that somehow makes him bad, because there are some things that in the lower class black people that you wish they wouldn't do. But you can't attribute that to all lower class black people. But he does. You can tell he does. Like he said before, oh, I grew up with a mother. The assumption is that most of these kids, most of these black kids, when he says it, most of these kids weren't raised like me. So he comes off to me as a coon, as a person who punches down and kisses up. He thinks white people are above him, so he kisses their ass all the time. And he thinks black people are beneath him, so he kicks them down. And what I do not like about him is he can talk that bullshit all he wants about, they put it on TV, so I made a joke about it. That's fine. But when have you ever made a joke like that when it came to the white people? Go look at every special he's ever done. He has no gumption about attacking black people and black families and black celebrities. Name one time that guy was on hosting an event where a white crowd was there, where he started taking personal shots at the white family. Now, let's put this in context. Am I saying that I thought what he said about Jada Pinkett was personal? No. I'm saying he attacked her for how she looked, and he attacked a part of black women that is very sensitive to him, which is their hair. Show me a situation in which he did that. And I'm not saying that these are all things that are biases that is in his soul. What he said about Meghan Markle yesterday, Do I think Meghan Markle is discriminated against because she's quote unquote black? I don't know, and really don't care. Meghan Markle ain't never gave a shit about being black until she needed to be black. Half of the people growing up probably didn't even know she was black, right? When I saw her on TV, I was like, I'm sorry, that lady does not look black to me. So if she happens to be like 25% black, cool. But at the end of the day, that lady ain't. I mean, like, come on, man, that lady ain't. That lady is about herself. She is, now all of a sudden she's some big representation of it's a black prince. Like, come on, bro. If that's a black prince, it's like come on, man. The drop rule is standard. It's like, man, this is pathetic. Like, are we that desperate? Are we that desperate for validation that we'll take anything and market as some black pride thing because some girl got stabbed by a royal dude? Now it's a sense of pride for black people. It's like, man, stop it. You guys are embarrassing yourself. And so I'm not. I don't. It's not that I don't think she dealt with racism. I just don't think that she ever gave a crap about anybody else dealing with racism, because she was always white passable. So I don't think she ever gave two craps about other people dealing with racism until she started to deal with it. Now she wants everybody to care. But I don't think she gave two craps about it before. You want to know why? Because generally girls girls like that who end up marrying and dating white guys generally do it without ever disclosing that they're black. And a lot of them will do that because they're white passable. And when you're white passable, you can slide into the white community and you can date white guys and this, that, and 90% of I guarantee you, go back and look at Meghan Markle's dating history and you will realize that she dates a lot of white guys. So if white was good enough for you to date for all these years, now all of a sudden you get married and you're starting to come to the conclusion that sometimes you tend to like white guys. So what's wrong with them not wanting their kids to be that dark? Right? You should have known that, because you choosing guys based on their color. I mean, when you were about to date Pierce Brosnan, not Pierce Brosnan, but that guy, was his name? Pierce Morgan. I'm sorry. There's a glaring thing that's there that you're just ignoring, right? So going back, what Chris Rock said, 100% don't care. What I do have a problem with is his ignorance. He says, that's not racism. Well, kind of is. Because black people look at the ears too. Yes, and those black people are also racist. Why do you act like because black people are ignorant and stupid that it doesn't make what they did ignorant and stupid? Yes, there are black people who hate themselves. There are black people who do look at their kids' ears and say, I wish my kid was lighter. Those people are not the most intelligent people. They are people who are seriously insecure, and they say these things because inside they hate themselves. So they don't see being black as a beautiful thing. They see it as a detriment, because it has only been a detriment largely because of people like you and the comedians and the rappers and the guys. You turn on the rap videos, you see nothing but light-skinned girls in there, and it is ridiculous. When I grew up, you had beautiful black icons. Your Whitney Houstons, your Brandys, your Monicas, your Aaliyahs. These girls were not biracial girls. They were dark-toned, beautiful women that were all over the television. Laura Winslow, these type of girls, they had a lot of black representation when it came to beauty. Then all of a sudden, everybody looks like Ashanti. Everybody looks like Maya. All these girls are racially ambiguous, and every rapper and every rapper is dating one of them. Or you turn on a music video, they are the worst representation of our culture. And guys like John Morant, they grow up not part of the criminal element, but they are black. So they tend to take on a lot of these things that they grow up because their parents act a certain way, and so they act that way. It doesn't make them people who wants to be thugs. But regardless, when you look at a guy when you look at somebody like that, and they're turning around and saying, oh, well, black people look at the ears too. It's like black people calling their dark-skinned kids ugly all the time, or black. Just because black people do it doesn't automatically make it not racist. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Oh, black people do it too, so therefore it's not racist. No, when black people do it, it's racist too. He died in the middle of that statement, and they had to cut because nobody, half of that special, they weren't even laughing because it came off as petty, it came off as lame, it came off as just, what is he doing? Like he's doing too much now. It's like people felt sorry for you because you showed a level of class after what happened to you. You took that and threw it out the window, and you acted like a complete buffoon and went on there cursing out and calling this lady outside of her name before people could lean back on, well, Chris Rock didn't say anything that bad before, and he didn't deserve to be embarrassed, and it was an embarrassment to black people for him to do that. And I can get behind that. But now it's like people kind of see that Will Smith probably should have slapped him. He's like, oh, well, all these people on TV are calling him a B and this, that, and the third, and that. And who does he hit? Me. Well, I'm a firm believer. Like I said, I come from the mud. If I'm talking to somebody and they say something disrespectful to me, then that's who I confront. I'm not confronting a guy that says something when I wasn't there. We'll deal with that when I'm there. But right now, you are here. And to be 100% honest, Will show way more nuts and balls to do what he did and Chris Rock ever did to do anything he's ever done. See, he's perfectly fine being edgy and saying a bunch of bullshit when he thinks there's no consequences. Right? Will Smith understood there probably were going to be bad consequences to his actions. But he did it because he was mad. Now, should he have done it? Of course not. It seemed pathetic, emotional. I mean, he just seemed like he was just having a mental breakdown. It just seemed disgusting because of that Jezebel weirdo wife he has. This is a prime example of one of the biggest problems with these new blacks, right? They want to be white and they want to be black, but there's still a large sect of the black community that still has the same mindset as the guys in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Meaning, I ain't co-signing that BS. That's BS. I'm not co-signing that. That's stupid. I had an entanglement with your son's boyfriend with your son's friend. Like, that's not an entanglement. That's slimy behavior. Like, why would you do that? And then let everybody know that because in her opinion, she wants, because it bolsters her bullcrap talk show that nobody that was getting views off just always having controversial stuff. She could have been like Oprah. She could have been like all these other people. But the problem with dealing with a loose woman is she does not. The Bible says, beware of a woman that lacks discretion. And Jada's Pinkett Smith is the highest representation. Just lacks discretion. She does what she wants. Says on several occasions, ain't nobody gonna tell her what to do. Nobody can. Good luck. Good luck, Will. There's a reason why your oldest son is well put together and doing things regular, and your other two kids are weirdos. Because when you say go left, she says go right. When you say go up, she says go down. And all you end up with is some very confused children who don't know left from right and don't know up from down. And all they're going to do is do what they feel like doing because they've been taught that there's no such thing as authority. There's no such thing as a hierarchy. You say what this person, when I want answers, I go to this person. When I want to know whether I should go left or right, I feel comfortable speaking with this one, because if I speak to my mom, I know I'm getting the same advice I would get if I spoke to my dad. When I speak to my dad, I know I'm getting the same advice that I get when I speak to my mom. I'm not gonna get mixed messages in which one person is saying go left and the other is saying go right. It's just not gonna happen. But when you are dealing with somebody like a Jada Pinkett or a Jezebel in general, she is not a representation of her husband. She's a representation of herself. So 90% of the time, her husband will, if her husband says something that she doesn't agree with, she will say she doesn't agree with it. She doesn't care if the kids are around. She doesn't care what's going on, and she will sit there. And the difference between a man and a woman is a man just naturally, I think personally, we just want to protect the people we care about. And generally, if we care about you and we're loyal to you, we'll let you say things that we won't let other people say, and we'll sympathize with you empathize and sympathize with you about things that we normally would just say, F you, I'm not doing it, right? And so it's easy to break a man down if we care about you, right? And if a woman secludes a man away from rational thinking people long enough, she can get him to say anything is okay. And the same thing goes the other way around. If a man can get a woman away from rational thinking people long enough, he can tell her that everything he does is right. And that's how it works. But the difference in the two is that if you look at a woman that's going through that, and she's she's the person doing that, she is going to be way more maniacal than the man is, because the society has never convinced her that she's out of line. Right? So she'll break a man down mentally, because women have never been physical creatures. They cannot beat you up. They can't fight you. They can't hurt you in the physical way. But they are freaking geniuses at hurting people emotionally. They've been doing it their whole life. From the time they can walk, women have learned to manipulate people emotionally and get what they want, because they've never been able to overpower people to get what they want. They've only been able to manipulate people emotionally. And when they start getting to the point where they're manipulating people emotionally, that's when you get the guys like Will Smith, who it doesn't matter what, or Eminem. It doesn't matter what they do. That woman will somehow find a way to make it of no effect, where they demean it, where they say, it's not good enough, and I'm not happy, and I'm still not happy, and as long as they know that you're attached to their happiness, they will use it to manipulate you your entire relationship. Yep, you make $10 million a year, but I'm unhappy. Say, why are you unhappy? Let me help you. Because, like I said, men want to protect. They want to make things right. And so so they're like, okay, what do you want? Oh, well, I want to spend more time. And you start spending more time. Oh, you just saying, it seems like I have no identity outside of you. Okay, you go do what you want to do. Oh, you're not spending enough time. It's like, I'm trying to figure you out. Well, you should just know the right time that I want you around, the time that I know. That's just stupid. Nobody would understand that. It doesn't matter. See, this is the problem. You don't want to listen to me. You don't want to understand how I feel. It's like, what? No, you're changing the point. You're saying that I should know things that I don't know, and because I don't know them, somehow it means I don't love you. Oh yeah, but if you did love me, then you would just try to make me happy. Well, I am trying to make you happy. I can't, because what you're saying makes no sense. That is the plight of of a man that decides to attach himself emotionally to a woman that is a Jezebel. She will manipulate your emotions. She will make you feel like she's the prize, and that you are the person that should be happy to have her, not the other way around. And her entire life, if you treat her and put her on a pedestal, she will take that and she will drive you mad, because she's discontent. Most of the time, she's with you because of reasons that are external, or extra. It's not because she loves you. Because she loves everything about you. But she's picked a part of you that she'll learn to deal with. And Will Smith chose to attach his wagon to a terrible. The first wife he had was loyal. She was low key. She wasn't trying to be a star. She wasn't trying to do anything outside of be his wife and the mother to his kids. That wasn't enough for him, right? He wanted a Hollywood star, even though to call Jada Pinkett a star is a loose term. She's a person who acts in movies. She's not a star, at least not until after she met Will Smith. But he wanted somebody like that. And buyer beware, when you start grabbing these girls whose lifelong dream is to be in acting, somebody doesn't get into acting because they love acting. It's not something a 5-year-old grows up saying, I love acting. They don't become actors because they like acting. They become actors because they want to be famous. They see people on television. They see people on TV and they say, I want to be that. I want people to know who I am. I want to act in movies. That is the most vain career choice of any person you'll ever meet. If you meet an actor, you're generally going to meet a self-absorbed person who wants everybody to love them and everybody to think they're beautiful and everybody to think this, that, and the third. They want to be famous. Anybody who wants to be an actor is not doing it for the love of acting. They're doing it because they want to be famous. And it's a pathetic, to me, 9 out of 10 of those people are just the most petty. That's why when people say they go to Hollywood, they can't stay there that long, because everybody's so fake and phony, and it seems obvious. But I got off track. But my point I was gonna say was that if you look at the actual nuts and bolts of why a guy like John Morant gets thrown into the lion's den as a guy trying to be gangster, I can 100% understand he did a lot of dumb things, but his things were more immature than they were criminal. I don't think anything he did was criminal. I think most of what he did was just woefully ill-advised by a young kid who doesn't understand that he's being watched. But I definitely don't think the guy's a bad guy, and I definitely don't think people are like, well, he needs to clean up his act. Well, before this whole situation came out with the thing about the kid saying that he pulled the gun on him, which honestly, he has a right. If he has a right to bear guns, bear arms, who cares? He can show he didn't shoot anybody. He can show his gun if he thinks that a guy is trying to test him or trying to challenge his well-being. He has every right to do that if that's what he wants to do. So I don't think that's criminal at all. And to say that because he's black somehow it's connected to some thug culture, I think it's just crazy. I think that's just manipulation and once again a product of us of the insecurities and the way that we see ourselves. We see ourselves as criminals. We see ourselves as less than. So anytime we do people dress a certain way, it's like, oh, once you get money, you're supposed to dress like white people. You're supposed to do things that white people do. You're supposed to go places that white people go. It's like, but I'm not white. I'm black. Yeah, but you can't be around those type of parts once you get money. You gotta leave black people alone once you get money. It's like, you don't see how offensive that is. And black people think because they're black, they can say it. Well, you're just as racist as the white person. You're just black. So, I don't think that he's without blame, but I also don't think that he's done anything that he needs to change his ways for. I think that that's just such a hyperbolic statement about a guy who had a gun. It's like, he can have a gun. He has a legal right to carry. So why is it a big deal he has a gun? Why? Because he's a black kid? That makes no sense. And if that is your reasoning behind it, then of course everybody, people deserve to call you out for saying that may be a little on the racist side. Anyways, please comment. Let me know what y'all think. If you like the content, please subscribe. And if you like what I have to say, please thumbs it up. All right, y'all. Peace.